Hi, my name's Steve Ray from Makita UK and I'm here with UK Planet Tools and we're going to take a look at the new products launched in September. We're going to look at some lighting, portable power stations, some cutting tools and the first 40 volt XGT jigsaw from Makita. Let's look at the features and these tools in action. Now we're going to look at the ML010G job site self-lighting light from Makita. So this is the job site light here. As you can see from the design of the base, what it does is it allows it to go over to 80 degrees and then it will return to its upright position. So if it is banged into, knocked, or someone walks into it, it will self-light to this upright position. So it is giving you the full light coverage. So we'll just go through the light now. And from the top, we have our LED area. So on there, we can use it on the left, the right-hand side, or we can use it in the full mode. We then have a large carrying handle around the base of the unit. We've got our side hooks here for our storage of our cable, which we use for our AC power and for connecting the other units. We've got light reflectors around the base as well, so it doesn't only have the LEDs, it does have light reflection as well, so if there is any headlights shining against it, it will illuminate the light. XGT panel here for your two batteries. Around the other side we have the LXT panel, but on each of them they do have a locking mechanism. So when you have inserted your batteries, you can use a padlock on there to lock your batteries and keep them safe. And that is on both sides of the unit. On the bottom of the unit, we have our AC supply in. So if we are using it off AC, we can plug it in there. Now, we must remember this unit is IP54 rated when it's in its DC mode. So when it's using batteries and it's sealed, it is IP54 rating. Be mindful when you do plug an AC supply in, it does then run the risk of having water drip into that socket. So we must be mindful when you're using the AC not to let it out in the rain. We then have as well our daisy chain socket. So this side as well, when we are using it off of AC, we can daisy chain up to 8 of these lights together with the connection there, and they will all run off the first light that is daisy chained from. So whatever settings I push on the original light is what all 8 lights will follow. So depending on what setting we've got on, they will all do exactly the same. Now we'll have a look at how the batteries go into the unit. So we can open that up, open up our top unit there. With our XGT batteries, we have 2 slots, so slot 1 and slot 2. Clip that battery in there. Lock that cover down. Spin that round. We have LXT on this side. We can insert our battery in there. Again, slots 1 and 2, it doesn't matter which slot you put that in, it will run from either 1 or 2. It doesn't have to always go in 1. Now we've got the power in there, we've got 2 batteries in there from the XGT and LXT, and it will run off both of those batteries. So on the power unit on the front here, we've got battery indicator for battery 1 and 2 for XGT, battery indicator 1 and 2 for LXT. We've then got our power on button. Our unit goes on, I'll turn that down to the lowest brightness. We then have our left, right, and our full light conversion on the top of the unit there. Now with this machine, if you've got 2 8 amp hour XGT batteries on it, on full power it will run for 13 hours. And when you put it on low power, it will run for 43 hours. So that's on the XGT 8 amp hour batteries. When we go over to LXT 6 amp hour batteries, the runtime on high will then go to 4.5 hours on the high mode. And on the low mode, it will give us 16 hours of runtime. So that's just a rough indication on the 8 amp hour and the 6 amp hour XGT and LXT batteries of what the runtime will be. Obviously, there's lots of different combinations of batteries we can use, and in the instruction manual, it will tell you what the runtime is for each of them combinations. One of the other nice features on the unit is when this does power down, so when the batteries do run out, it will leave an illumination so that you can find it. So if you have got this in a large area, and the lights go out, rather than it just going completely black so that you can't find it, it will leave a slight illumination and you'll be able to find the unit. So that is the ML010G job site self-lighting light from Makita UK, available now on UK Planet Tools website. Now we're going to take a look at the BAC01 power convert unit from Makita. So this power converter will actually convert the power from our solid state PDC 1200 battery, or from the PDC 01, which is our LXT version of the backpack battery, which takes 4 individual LXT 18 volt batteries. Now obviously if you use the dedicated PDC 1200 backpack, that obviously delivers a lot more wattage of power, so that goes up to 1200 watts of power. So that will actually give you the top performance from this unit compared to the LXT version. But the LXT version does still have its place and is able to power plenty of the options we can use. It just won't give you as long a runtime. So now we're going to concentrate more on the unit. As you can see, it is the MacPack design on the unit, so it is completely connectable with any of your MacPack systems. It will connect to a MacPack on the top or the bottom, so if you are using it without the battery system in order and you're just storing it and transporting it around, you can have MacPacks on the bottom and on the top. But if you are using it as the converter, you obviously can't put a MacPack on the top because that's where our battery will go. On the sides, we have 2 large carrier handles, so it is nice and easy to move around the job site into positions that we want to. And with the sustainer obviously connected again, it gives you options to carry it around with them carrier handles. It is fully compatible with the MacPack trolley as well, so if you have got this on MacPacks and the battery on top, you can have it on your MacPack trolley so you can move it around there with the wheels. To the unit itself, some of the specs on the unit, what we can use on it, on the front you can see there. To the left we have the USB slots, so we have 2 USB type A and 2 USB type C's in there. In the centre we have 2 AC outlets. Now this is our sample unit, so this has 2 Euro plugs in there, but when you buy the unit as standard it will come with 2 240 volt outlets on there, AC outlets. To the right of the unit we then have our DC 12 volt power supply as well. Now all of these are controlled by the functions on the top of the unit. So on the top there we have USB, AC, DC 12 volt, as well as our output wattage bar. So on the bar there you've got 7 different lights, and that will tell you what sort of output wattage we're delivering when we have devices plugged into the unit. We also have an alarm button, so when this does go over 1400 watts, the alarm will sound to let you know that it's either going to cut out or that it has reached its max capacity and we need to start dropping off some of the power, which means just individually unplugging some of the items to drop that output to a lower output. We then can choose as well whether we have 60 or 50 hertz delivered to the AC power. So now we've gone through some of the features on here, I'm just going to show you how to connect the battery to the unit itself and power it up so you can see it all lit up. So if we turn the unit round here, you can see on the back there we've got a sleeve which our cable can go in, our excess cable, and then we have our plug there which is sealed, so we can unplug that. On the connection port it does have an arrow on the top, so when I bring the unit up and plug it in, you'll be able to see that we can match that up there. So this is our PDC 1200. This is the solid state battery, so you can't open this, it is a sealed unit. With this now, we can just drop this on the top. So location lugs, clip in, clip the battery on the top, feed the cable into the sleeve at the back. With the arrow on the top of there and the arrow on the top there, I now connect that up and that's ready to use. So we can spin the unit round, turn the power unit on the top, and now that indicates with a green light on the top that we've now got power to the unit. So now when I plug my individual products into the machine to start charging or controlling, we then can isolate with the USB, AC and DC. So now if I had anything plugged into any of them 3, they would all be live and working. If the wattage goes up too high, we can isolate. So again, if I'm not plugging anything into my USB, I can then isolate that so it only delivers power to the AC on the unit. When you're using this unit with this PDC 1200, you will get more runtime than you do with the PDC 01, which takes the LXT batteries. So with this power unit itself, the PDC 1200, if you put a 50-inch 4K TV plugged into this unit, it will allow you to run it for 8 hours. If we then took that off and put a fridge freezer on there, it will give you 9 hours of runtime. So plenty of runtime off of this unit with this battery here. Obviously with the PDC 01, it will just lower that runtime on the units itself. But in the instruction manual, it will give you a rough idea of how long it will run with certain products on there. So that is the BAC 01 power converter unit from Makita UK, available now on UK Planet Tools website. So now we're going to look at the two new angle grinders on the 40 volt max XGT range. These are high powered angle grinders. So there's two variations of it, the GA049G and the GA050G. Now the only difference between these two machines is the diameter of the disc that they can take. So one is a 115mm and one is a 125mm. That is the only difference. In terms of spec, they're identical machines. It's just the size of the disc that the machine can take. So now we know what the difference is, we'll look at these in greater detail. Starting at the bottom, obviously we can slide our 40 volt XGT battery onto the bottom of the machine. We then have two large ventilation areas on the side of the battery area as well, which have mesh covers over. They are removable, so if they do get full of swarf and dirt, you can take them off and give them a clean off and put them back on the machine. But they're important to keep there because it will stop anything getting sucked into the inside of the machine and causing any damage. As we move up, we've got a slide switch onto the body of the machine. So to disengage the lock off function on that, we just pull down the little tab there and we can depress the trigger. When we release, the tab comes back up and that is now in the lock position. So a knife safe option on the trigger system on there. AVT on the machine as well, so you can see there in the body there is a crack down the middle, and that is to reduce the vibration to the back handle. So the vibration on this machine, using it for applications, is 8.5 meters a second squared. So nice and low on vibration considering the power that this machine is going to be giving out. We then inside the machine have an electric brake and we have soft start. It also has the AFT function, which is active feedback technology, which means if you are cutting into materials and it drops down, pinches the blade, rather than it trying to kick out back to you, it will automatically switch the machine off. So it keeps it nice and safe for the user and it will stop you from damaging your machine. On the side of the machine with the side handle, again, that's AVT as well. So that's on a ball joint. So lowering the vibration again to the front handle. Then we have the guard system here, which is fully changeable by the slide switch. If you push on in the inside, we can then rotate that into the preset positions. So depending on what way you're cutting or grinding, you can move that guard so it's comfortable and protecting the user from any debris that's coming off the tool. With these, I did say they are the high powered version on the 40 volt max range. So with that, generally on all our previous grinders on the battery platform, they have all run at 8,500 RPMs. With these two new grinders, they now run at 11,000 RPMs. So a lot more power, a lot better for grinding down stuff. It will strip things off very quickly. So that is the GA049G grinder and the GA050 grinder from Makita. And these are all available from UK Planet Tools website. Now we're going to take a look at the brand new to the range Jigsaw on the 40 volt XGT, which is the JV001G. It's the new Jigsaw to the range, so it's the first one we've had in the 40 volt range, so it's been long awaited, but it's finally here. As you can see from the machine, it's got the body grip system rather than the D handle. It has had some innovations inside it to lighten the weight, so it's much more user friendly, easier to use, and it's been shortened down as well, so it's much more comfortable to use as a Jigsaw. Features of the machine, and what is so good about this 40 volt one is it now cuts with a jigsaw blade of 135mm depth, so quite a good depth of cut on that for a jigsaw blade, and the stroke length on there is 26mm, so a good couple of mil more than what you'd find on our mains or on our previous battery versions. So the stroke length and the length of the blade that we can fit on there makes this a much more efficient machine for when cutting, so it will remove a lot more wood a lot quicker when in action. The variable speed on the machine is done by the dial at the back, which allows us to adjust our strokes per minute from 800 up to 3,500 strokes per minute. But also with that variable speed dial, it does allow us to turn on and off the soft start function that this machine has. So with the soft start function, it will start the machine at half speed, even if you've set it at full speed. Once it's started cutting into the material, it will pick the speed up to full speed. Now, if you don't like that function, in the manual, it does tell you how to do it. With the dial on there, we just roll it up to the highest, down to the lowest. It will blink with the light, and then that will mean that you've turned the soft start off on the machine, so it will just run at full speed straight out the box. And you can turn the soft start back on if you require it on there. On the front of the machine, we've got our power on and our locking switch. So first off, we've got the locking switch at the top, which also, if you hold in and depress, will turn your LED light on and off. But if it's just to turn the machine on and off, we just push it once. That will illuminate the area to say that the machine is on and ready to go. and then we can use the power button to actually get the machine running. Once we've finished, we turn the power button off, and then we turn the lock button on, which will then turn the LED light off, which will mean we can't use the machine now until we put that sequence back in action. So that's the lock on and off function. We then go to where we can put the blade in and out. Now that is toolless, so all we do is pull that cover round, that will release the blade, and it is spring loaded, so it will kick the blade out as well, so that you don't have to put your hands onto a hot blade. And then when we want to put the blade back in, we just put the blade into the area, push it in, and it will automatically click into place, so it's ready to go. We then have our pendulum function there as well, so we can have our standard straight cut, or we do have 3 different variations for the pendulum. So depending on what angle you want that blade to angle at and how much material you want it to remove will depend on whether you want it on 1, 2 or 3 on the settings. Obviously 3 being the more removed material. Down on the bottom of the machine we have a dust guard on there, so with that we can fully adjust it over to the left or right, done by the thumb screw on there, or if you don't need it for the application that you're doing, you can remove it so it is out the way. And then on the bottom of the machine where the base plate is, we do have a soft guard on there, so if you are cutting into anything that's delicate or can scratch easily, ideally you want to keep this soft plate on, and that will protect the material. And then if we just lift that little clip at the back, that will allow us to take it off. So if we are using it just for rough cuts, rough timber, sawn timber, we can take that off and it won't damage our non-scratch base. It will just take some impacts on the base plate, but that is solid metal, so it won't damage it. But if we are doing delicate areas, we just clip that back on, nice and easy, slots on, and it's ready to go. So that is the JV001G on the 40 volt platform from Makita, available on UK Planet Tools website now. Now we're going to look at the DMC 300Z on the 18 volt LXT platform. So this is a compact disc cutter, which has a disc diameter of 76 millimeters in diameter. Now the discs that we can use on this machine are abrasive wheels, which are at 76 mil. We have a diamond segmented wheel, and then we have a continuous rim diamond wheel as well. So depending on what application we're using the machine for, depends on what disc we select. With this here, you can see we've got the standard cutting guard, straight cutting guard. On the guard itself, you can see you have a forward and a reverse on there, or an F and an R, which dictates it can go forward and reverse. So we can do that by the switch on the top of the machine. Looking at the machine itself, on the bottom, it takes an 18 volt LXT battery. On the front at the bottom, we have an LED light which uplights, so it will light up the area that we're cutting into. We then come to the trigger, which has a lock off function. So on the side there, we have a lock on, lock off switch. So we need to depress that to be able to press the trigger. And then once we release the trigger, it will automatically go to the lock position. So we need to depress that again. Up to the head of the machine, we've got a spindle lock at the top where the blade is. So when we want to take the blade on and off or change the blades, we hold that spindle lock in. And then we have an Allen key here, which is hidden down in the side of the body, that we use to do that. So with that, we hold the spindle lock, undo our nut, replace our wheel, tighten it all up, and then once we've finished, we put our Allen key back in its little slot at the bottom of the machine there. So it's two-hand whenever we need it. On the top, as I'd already mentioned, we do have a forward and reverse. So that switch at the top there, you can see has got an F and an R. So depending on what way we want the disc to spin, we can do that just by the flick of the switch at the top. And then at the side, at the back there, we do have a nice vent as well, which has got a mesh cover, so it stops any debris or swarf getting into the machine. The reason why we might want to use this machine in forwards and backwards is because it is a compact machine, so it is going to be used in nice and tight spaces. So if you are cutting any materials and the sparks are shooting out the front, bouncing off the wall back to the user, we can switch it into the reverse, so the blade will go in the opposite direction and it will make the sparks come out the bottom of the machine rather than shooting out the top. So it's more there just for preference on which way you're going to cut the material or what sort of area that you're in, and it can accommodate by changing which way it cuts. That way, as a standard, comes out the box with the straight guard on for cutting materials, but then we do have the option if we want to use dust extraction or a depth adjustment with this, which comes in the box. So that's your depth adjustment guard with dust extraction on. Nice and easy to fit to the machine. All we've got to do is slot it in at the bottom. Once it's made contact, twist it round. We then have a lock button, which has an indicator to show me that that's now locked on. So now with the depth adjustment at the back, I can set the depth, connect my dust extractor, and now do different depths of cut with the dust extractor attached as well to remove the swarf. Now, one thing to be mindful of, when we do switch to this guard, it will give you a depth of cut of 13.5 millimeters in depth. And when we have it in the standard mode, it will give us a depth of cut of 16 millimeters. So with this guard on, 13.5 millimeters, depress the lock button, twist the body around, it will release the machine, and now we're back to 16 mil depth of cut. The machine itself runs at 20,000 RPMs, and it has got constant speed control on there, so it'll always stay at the 20,000 RPMs required. Even if it comes under load or against different materials, it will consistently keep at 20,000 RPMs. It has AFT built in, so active feedback technology. So again, if we are cutting materials and it pinches up on the blade, rather than trying to kick the machine out or burn the motor out on the machine, it will automatically switch the machine off, and we will have to restart the on-off button to get it working again. Electric brake is standard on the machine as well, so when you do release that trigger, it will instantly stop within a few seconds. So that is the DMC 300Z on the 18 volt LXT platform from Makita, and it's available on UK Planet Tools website now. Now we're going to look at the TD002GZ, which is the 40 volt XGT brushless impact driver, new to the range of Makita impact drivers. With this impact driver, one of the main features is it has a new dual spring technology in there. So what that will allow the machine to do is work 35% more efficient by using them dual springs. And what the machine actually does when using it in applications is it will determine whether it's a light or heavy duty application that's being used in, and it will determine how many springs it needs to use. So for light duty applications, it will use the single spring. And when it goes into heavy duty application, it will then engage the secondary spring, which will give it a lot more efficiency when using it. The nice thing with the two springs is because one is a light duty and one is a heavy duty, it will select which one is best for the application, which, as I've already said, will give you 35% more efficiency, but will make your battery last longer and make your tool perform better. The machine itself goes up to a massive 220 Newton meters of torque, so plenty of impact torque on there. It's got a 1/4 inch hex drive at the front, which is a one push type now. So rather than pulling the collet forward to put your bit in, you just push the insert the bit in, and it just pushes in and clicks into place. It also delivers 0 to 4,600 impacts per minute, done by the selector on the bottom or by the variable trigger on the machine. On the machine as well, your 4-mode selectors for your power impacts per minute. It does have an A mode as well, so if you put it into the A mode, which is auto mode, it will decide what it needs to deliver itself. So once you've put the screw into the timber, it works out what the resistance is, and then it will deliver what it needs to drive that screw in. Thus making you not use full power all the time. It might only be using half power again, which is going to give you longer life on your battery and your machine. Also on the control panel at the bottom, we have 6 mode settings. So one of them is for wood mode, 2 of them is for the T mode, and then 3 of them is for bolt mode. So if you're using this machine to undo bolts, when you put it into bolt mode, what it will do is, once it's tightened the bolt up to the tightening point, it will automatically shut the machine off so that it doesn't strip the thread or stretch it. And likewise, when you're taking the bolt off, rather than spinning the bolt fully off and letting it run down the road once it comes off the end of the thread, the bolt mode, as soon as it feels that the bolt has come loose, it will instantly stop the machine so the bolt will stay in place. Also on the control at the bottom, we can turn the lights on or off. And again, with this, one of the new features is the new 4 LED light system on the front of the head. So I'll just put it on the battery there, pull that trigger, and as you can see now, it illuminates in 4 places around the head, rather than the single illumination from underneath. New design on the machine. So on the body of the machine, you might not be able to catch it on the camera, but when you look up closely to it, it does have a camo pattern etched into the plastic bodywork of the machine, which gives it quite a nice aesthetic look. It also has the memory button on the front as well. So if you're using it with T mode or one of the bolt modes, and you're using it in standard impact mode, with a flick of that button there, you can quickly switch between the 2 applications. So rather than having to keep going down to your settings panel, you can set the 2 modes that you wish into the head, and that will allow you to use a quick selector button at the top. So that is the new TD002GZ impact driver from Makita, available on the UK Planet Tools website now. Now we're going to have a look at a new 18 volt kit from Makita. So it's the DLX 2507 TJ. So it's a twin kit, comes with an impact driver and a combi driver. Two of our popular machines of choice. So the DTD 153 impact driver. The machine, quite straightforward. There's no buttons on the bottom to worry about. We've just got to worry about the forward and reverse at the top, the lock-off switch, which is in the middle position, and then we have a variable speed by the trigger. We've got an LED light to illuminate the area that we're working in, and then we've got a 1/4 inch push chuck at the top there to insert our impact bits into. 18 volt battery on the bottom, and we do have a lanyard hook space at the bottom as well, so if you want to lanyard that off and tether it off for safety, you can do. On the DTD 153, the impact torque on that is 170 Newton meters of torque. So a very capable impact driver for all applications. To go alongside that, we have our new DHP 489 combi drill. Now with this, we have obviously the impact mode or hammer mode, the drill mode and the driver mode. We've got 21 clutch settings on there as well to set when we are using the screwdriver mode. And then we've got a 2-speed gearboxes here on the top as well. Variable speed by the trigger, LED light again to illuminate the area, forward and reverse by the dial at the top, as well as the lock position in the middle. And then we've got a nice belt hook on the side of the machine as well as the lanyard tethering point on the back of that machine. With that machine though, the DHP 489, the torque on that is 73 Newton meters of torque. So they are the two drills that we get in the kit, DTD 153 and the DHP 489. Also in the kit, you do get the two 5 amp hour 18 volt batteries, as well as the fast charger as standard, and it comes in a Mac Pack Type 3 with an inlay as well, so that everything can put nicely and neatly away in there. So that is the DLX 2507 TJ from Makita, available now on the UK Planet Tools website. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you've seen something that you like out the new products launching in September from Makita. They are all available on the UK Planet Tools website. Remember to look on our social media for news and updates, and I'll see you next time.